What if the plastic water bottle you use today could affect your chances of having children tomorrow? For years, we've known that tiny plastic particles are in our water, food, and even our blood. We found them on the highest mountains and in the deepest oceans. But a groundbreaking study from February 2025 has confirmed what scientists long feared. These microplastics aren't just in our bodies. They're invading the inner sanctum of the female reproductive system. For the first time, they've been found in human ovaries. We're going to break down this alarming new science and the potential risks. But more importantly, we're going to give you a practical guide to fight back. Let's walk through the concrete steps you can take starting today to reduce your exposure and protect your health. Section 1. The Ovarian Invasion, a groundbreaking discovery. The question has never been if we're exposed to plastic, but how much and where it's ending up inside us. Now we have a shocking new piece of the puzzle. A peer-reviewed study published in February 2025 gave us a startling look inside the human body. Researchers in Italy analyzed the fluid surrounding developing eggs in women undergoing fertility treatments. This isn't just any fluid. It's called follicular fluid, and it's the vital, nutrient-rich environment where a human egg matures before ovulation. It's supposed to be a protected, pristine space, but it's not. In the study, scientists found microplastics in 14 out of the 18 women they examined. Particles of common plastics, like polyethylene, used in plastic bags and bottles, and PVC, were found floating in the very liquid meant to nurture life. Now, here's the most critical part of that study. The researchers didn't find a direct link to lower fertilization rates or pregnancy outcomes in this small group. But they did find something deeply concerning: a significant correlation between the concentration of microplastics in the fluid and higher levels of follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. Why does that matter? Elevated FSH is a clinical biomarker that can mean a woman's ovaries are under stress. It can be a sign of diminishing ovarian reserve, meaning the quantity and quality of her remaining eggs may be declining. So, while this study doesn't prove that microplastics are destroying fertility, it raises a massive red flag. It suggests a potential link between these plastic invaders and premature ovarian aging. The lead author of the study called the discovery a warning signal about the invasiveness of these emerging contaminants. So, how do these particles even get there? Microplastics are tiny plastic fragments, less than 5 millimeters in size, and nanoplastics are even smaller, invisible to the naked eye. They break off from larger plastic items, our clothes, containers, and car tires, and get into our air, water, and food. We inhale them and we ingest them. Once inside, the smallest particles, the nanoplastics, can cross biological barriers, enter our bloodstream, and travel throughout our bodies, much like oxygen or nutrients. They've been found in human blood, the placenta, breast milk, and now the ovaries. Think of these plastic particles as tiny Trojan horses. It's not just the plastic itself that's the problem. It's the cocktail of chemicals they carry. Plastics can contain thousands of chemical additives, including notorious endocrine disruptors like BPA and phthalates. These chemicals are known to mimic or interfere with our body's natural hormones, like estrogen, which is a well-documented threat to reproductive health. A glimpse into the potential damage. While the 2025 human study is a critical warning, we have to look at animal studies to understand how this harm might happen. To be clear, what happens in mice isn't a guarantee of what happens in humans, but the results from dozens of these studies are consistent and alarming, and they help explain why scientists are so concerned about finding plastic in follicular fluid. In multiple studies on mammals, when researchers intentionally expose them to microplastics, the damage to the reproductive system is clear and measurable. They've observed several key effects. First is direct damage to ovarian cells. Animal studies show that microplastic exposure can trigger oxidative stress and inflammation in the ovaries. This can lead to the death of granulosa cells, the very cells that support a developing egg and produce crucial hormones. Second is a reduction in follicle numbers. Researchers have observed that exposed animals have fewer mature follicles, which are the small sacs that contain developing eggs. Essentially, this suggests that plastic exposure could be accelerating the depletion of the egg supply. And third is hormonal chaos. Unlike the human study, which only noted a correlation with FSH, animal models show direct causation. Exposure to microplastics has been shown to decrease key female hormones like estradiol, while disrupting the entire hormonal axis that governs the menstrual cycle. When you combine the human discovery, that plastics are in the ovarian fluid, with the animal data showing what those plastics can do, a disturbing picture emerges. The human data is the smoke, and the animal data suggests there could be a fire. The question is no longer, could this happen? But, to what extent is this already happening to us? Section 3. The path to protection. How to fight back. Hearing all of this can feel overwhelming. These particles are invisible and they're everywhere. But this is the moment to turn alarm into action. This discovery is concerning, but it's not a life sentence. You have the power to significantly reduce your personal exposure and lower your body's plastic load. Simple changes can make a real difference. So, let's reframe this. This isn't a story of inevitable doom. It's a wake-up call and a guide to taking back control. Let's walk through a 3-step plan focused on the biggest sources of exposure: your kitchen, your home, and your daily choices. Step 1. Detox your kitchen. The main way we're exposed to microplastics is through what we eat and drink. Your kitchen is ground zero. First, and most importantly, stop heating food in plastic. Microwaving plastic containers or using plastic wrap that touches your food can release millions of microplastic and billions of nanoplastic particles directly into your meal. Switch to glass or ceramic containers for heating and storing food. Second, rethink your water. A 2024 study found that a single liter of bottled water can contain an average of 240,000 plastic particles. Switching from bottled water to filtered tap water is one of the most impactful changes you can make. Look for a high-quality water filter certified to remove microplastics, like a reverse osmosis system or a solid carbon block filter, and drink from a glass or stainless steel bottle. Third, get rid of your plastic cutting board. Every chop and slice can scrape off tiny plastic fibers that mix into your food. A wooden or bamboo cutting board is a much safer alternative. Step 2. Clean up your air. We don't just eat plastic, we breathe it in. A huge source of airborne microplastics comes from synthetic textiles like polyester, nylon, and acrylic. Whenever possible, choose clothing and home goods made from natural fibers like cotton, wool, or linen. This is especially important for things you use a lot, like bedding and activewear. When you wash synthetic fabrics, think about using a special laundry bag or filter designed to capture microfibers before they enter the water system and, eventually, our air and food chain. Regularly vacuuming with a machine that has a HEPA filter can also trap a significant amount of the microplastic dust that settles in your home. And simply opening your windows to ventilate your space helps reduce the concentration of indoor airborne particles. Step 3. Audit your products. Finally, take a closer look at what you put on your body. The personal care industry has historically used microplastics, like microbeads, in scrubs and toothpastes. While many of these are banned, plastics are still used as fillers and binders in everything from lotions to makeup. Start reading the labels on your personal care products. Look for ingredients like polyethylene, polypropylene, and polymethyl methacrylate, PMMA. When in doubt, look for brands that are explicitly plastic-free. It's also smart to avoid products with fragrance listed as an ingredient, as phthalates, the plastic softeners, are often used to preserve scents. These steps aren't about achieving impossible plastic-free perfection. They're about making smart, targeted reductions that can have a measurable impact. This information isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. The science is clear that the threat is real, but it's also clear that our choices matter. If you found this valuable, please share it. The more people who understand the issue, the greater the pressure for real change. And in the comments below, tell us one change you're going to make this week. Whether it's switching to a glass water bottle or ditching the plastic cutting board, every step counts. Conclusion. The discovery of microplastics in human ovaries is a watershed moment. It confirms that this pollution isn't just an environmental issue. It is a human health crisis that has breached the most intimate spaces within our bodies. The link to elevated FSH is a profound warning we can't afford to ignore. But the final chapter of this story hasn't been written. While scientists investigate the long-term consequences, we aren't helpless. By making conscious decisions in our kitchens, our homes, and our shopping carts, we can reduce our exposure and protect ourselves and our future generations. The power is in our hands.